What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Dr. Nina, and I hope you're doing well. Now, you know, over here, we're all about self-care and making sure that we're taken care of mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. We want to make sure that our foundation is set and cracked without ash, but well moisturized, okay? I like to make sure that I'm teaching y'all practical ways to live your life for it to be much better. And I don't care who you are, no matter your walk of life. So many of you write me about day-to-day things that you have to get through, your job, your career, advancing through your graduate school programs, as well as higher level professional degrees, or being a day-to-day person every day just showing up. And I want to make sure I'm showing up for you. So today, I want to make sure that I'm not putting more on your plate, but taking some things away, because we often talk about the things we need to add to our lives to be better, but it's some things we need to get rid of in order for us to grow. And so today I want to focus on those 8 unhealthy habits that I had to stop in order for me to transform my life in every way. Now, look, I don't want you to feel bad. This ain't a video about shaming you if you're still engaging in a lot of these things. To be real with y'all, even though I've shaken a lot of these habits, I still struggle with them daily and have to focus on ways for me to work around them and be my best. And I want to hear from you. Let me know down below some of the things that you've had to shake in order for you to be your best, or some of the things that you're trying to shake. Over here, we're about helping one another and being supportive. And I want to also make sure that you check down below for all the items that I mentioned, or all things that could be wonderful resources to you. And I want to say thank you to Fiverr for sponsoring today's video. Let's get into it. I would often underestimate my levels of stress, and my true levels at that. I started to notice this as I was moving up in my career, and this is what pronounced it. I started to notice that I felt guilty about my successes, so it turned into me bending over backwards to try to give to everybody else to make sure they were happy and set before I gave to myself. I didn't realize the true stress that it was causing until it started to manifest itself in my physical health. I was gaining weight, breaking out, and becoming more irritable. Click like if you can relate. That shortens your lifespan. It makes you look and feel older and more tired, and also it leaves you bitter. It's not good for your health. I had to not only learn how to cope, but to go to therapy and figure out how to combat that. And I had to stop that early, especially as a woman, and further a Black woman, because I realized that you are not appreciated for being depleted of your assets and for being depleted of your resources. And I had to make decisions to further my growth, even when people said that those decisions were selfish. I learned that my decisions, like moving out of state for school or my career, or also building my own networks, friendships, and relationships, was not selfish. It was great for self-preservation as well as my sanity. And anybody threatening that, they had to go, because they were not respecting my boundaries or the person I was becoming. And stress was becoming more apparent because of that. Now that leads us into stress and binge eating, and ooh-wee, your girl has fallen short of the glory of God here, y'all. And stress and binge eating is not something that, you really know you're engaging in, but a lot of times it's those subconscious thoughts and the things that you don't want to focus on, the things you want to distract yourself from, that are really honing in, and you're trying to cover that up with something you enjoy or something you think you enjoy. So that sweet and salty snack or that thing you're overindulging in might lead you to feel like you feel better temporarily, instead of really focusing or handling that thing that's really bothering you. And that was my problem. Stress eating leads to obesity and health problems as well. And the best resort to counter this is to not engage in other things like watching television while you're doing it. Furthermore, I had to learn to focus on what was in front of me instead of focusing on something else, abstract, or just mindlessly eating while I was just drifting off or daydreaming, because you'll end up waking up out of that trance and you've ate a whole bag of chips. Now, and I'm not talking about the little 25 cents, old 25 cents bag of chips that's now $1, Lord Jesus, but I'm talking about a big bag of chips. Your girl used to go down and throw down. Do you hear me? So I had to give myself some new little things. In order for me to really focus on my food, I had to learn how to season it, learn how to serve it a certain way. I had to also learn what I actually liked, so that took paying attention to what I was putting in my mouth. And so I also had to make swaps, maybe putting in green vegetables for the fried foods. If I had a burger, cutting it in half, having a half now, a half later. Other things that would really help me to hone in into the food that I was having and actually enjoying it and finding that I was more full than I thought I was. Now, y'all, this also sneaks up in other ways, especially with that emotional eating. When I was in a relationship that long ago was very emotionally abusive, for lack of better words, I can remember that in that relationship, that person was very critical of my weight. And I was also having to take responsibility for engaging in the foolishness that ensued in that relationship. But in order for me to feel better, I would engage in eating things I knew I had no business, eating a whole thing of chicken wings or some ice cream or some other things, instead of doing some constructive things like going to therapy or focusing on my nutrition or focusing on the things that can help me feel better long term. And now I'm not saying that it's all about losing weight or looking a certain way. I'm saying that it is about your health. And a lot of times I found that my health was failing because of this mindless eating. And a lot of it was based on emotional things that I was not tackling. So make sure that you conquer those things in the way that's best for you, like therapy, in order for you to be your best. I had to stop inviting powerful forces into my home and my spirit, truly watching everything I consume. Now, I talked about food, but that's only part of it. I grew up in a home with a mother who was highly religious. However, she also was spiritual. And she did believe that some people you let into your house, they leave stuff you can't get rid of. And I'm talking about the spirits they leave behind. And you truly have to be careful about that. Click like if you've ever felt off whenever leaving the presence of someone. Some people don't mean you well even when they think they do. And they may leave you with some eerie feelings. And that goes for what you're discussing on your phone, what you're looking at, Instagram, YouTube, TV, everything. They matter. Have you ever felt like your whole entire day was taken over just because of someone you encountered or something you encountered? One day, y'all, I'm telling on myself, it wasn't very long ago. I'm gonna tell y'all the power of music, because I woke up that morning and one of the first things I listened to was Move, Get Out the Way by Ludacris. Now that song go hard. I love it. I used to love it a lot. But I tell you what, it's some music that will rile your spirit. I looked down at my speedometer, that thing was on 90, okay? And like a 60. And I have to watch that because that whole day I was like jumpy and jittery, talking to people like, what you want? You can't be doing that. So you got to watch the shows, the things you read, the news channels, all of that, because that will really reside within your spirit and within your heart. And I'm an empath, so I know better. So just consider limiting your consumption, because some things can be more triggering to you than you could ever know. I had to learn to stop tricking myself out of getting to that action. A lot of us think we know what procrastination looks like, but do we? One of the hardest parts of achieving success is actually doing the work. And I would tell myself every excuse in the book to get out of it. I need to sleep later. I deserve some rest. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And then when you sit down to actually do it, you don't even have the energy to get it done. At some point, we have to be real with ourselves and ask ourselves if we truly want the things that we say we do, because doing nothing to work towards them will never get it done. I had to also learn this through seeking good and dependable help. For instance, in my own business, I would convince myself that I was the only one that could do all the work by myself, and that would lead to doing nothing at all. I've now had to practice pushing forth in my goals. You know how some of y'all keep asking me when it's the next episode of the podcast because you enjoy it? Well, I'm getting to work on that, and I found more help than I can even handle over on Fiverr, who is bringing you all today's video. Now, I've used Fiverr in the past, but I've been sleeping on all the wonderful things that they've had to offer. They connect you with freelancers that offer a range of digital services. Everything from quality video editing, website design, and even music production. Now, I don't have much time to create all the wonderful components of my business, like video intros and outros or podcast intros and other creative things to make them as bomb as I would like. So I sought out podcast intro, covers, and editing all on the platform. All I did was surf the site, look up the freelancers. I also looked at their reviews. Now, the reviews were amazing for letting me know the type of work that they turned out. Further, I also got to listen to samples of their work to see if it aligned with what I was going for. Then I was able to reach out to them, let them know what I was looking for, and they could tell me if they could produce it. Now, the great thing is it was like a team approach because they asked me so many questions, the types of things I would want, what I was looking for, and also let me know honestly if they could produce that. Now, they quickly got to work as well. Now, listen to this snippet of my new podcast intro real quick.
Don't you worry. Dr. Nina's here to help you through it all. Mentally, physically, and emotionally, you can be strong. Now that's life. When the chips are down, you can get up again.
Bomb, right? Real bomb. Oh, and check out my new podcast covers. Now, y'all let me know which one you want to see first down below so that I can use your decisions for my next podcast upload.
When nothing's working out, we know you can use a friend. Now that's life.
And check out this animated version for video.
You can get up again. That's right. When nothing's working out, we know you can use a friend.
All in all, they were timely, communicated well, asked questions, and they even made corrections where I asked for them. Fiverr made it easy for me to feel excited about my podcast creation again. And I know that their freelancers can help you with most anything that you would like to create, so you can stop procrastinating too. So head to fvrr.co/Dr. Nina to check out the services available to you and get 10% off with my code Dr. Nina. I had to take a step back from focusing only on the negatives in my life. Now, this is hard to believe. I know I tell y'all that life is a series of ups and downs and ebbs and flows, but I had to learn that. I realized that I only hyper-focused on when life was low and all the bad things that could happen. The way I had to change this was to think carefully about the things that I had encountered that were positive and to learn to focus on those in a balanced manner. One example of that is when I wanted to lose a lot of weight. Didn't know it was 100 pounds at the time, but when I wanted to lose it, and I only hyper-focused on what I didn't have, that I didn't have money, that I didn't have a coach, that I didn't have food, that I didn't have certain things that I thought I needed. And that led to only self-indulgence in the things that weren't good for me. I wasn't getting more active. I wasn't eating better foods that I could or had the power to eat. I was only doing worse because I was only focused on what I didn't have. It wasn't until I focused on the fact that I had breath in my body, activity of my legs and my arms, and that I did have a growing confidence, that I was able to get and break that curse of only thinking negatively. And sometimes it takes taking out paper and pencil and finding the positives. It's not always about spotting the negatives, but also reminding yourself that you might have to look up under the rug to find some of those positives. But when you remind yourself of them, you build confidence. Some of the simple ways to focus on positive thinking include spending time with positive people, taking responsibility for previous and current behavior, giving to your community in a way that makes sense for you, reading inspirational books and materials. Some of my favorites include The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, Reinventing the Body and Resurrecting the Soul by Deepak Chopra, and Don't Sweat the Small Stuff by Richard Carlson. Through this, you can recognize and replace negative thoughts, define and work towards your goals, consider what negativity can do for your life and what it hasn't done for your life, compliment other people on the way and study their stories. Create that daily gratitude list, the one I'm talking about, where you have to dig for the things that are positive, and get into your own version of self-care. A lot of this can help you clean up that negative mindset and that fixed mindset and move forward in your goals. Also, I had to remove myself from naysayers and stop being in these willful negative relationships. Look, first let me empathize. I have been there and done that with both romantic and non-romantic people in my life. I found that a lot of times I was self-sabotage by being around said people and allowing them to speak negativity into me. Now hear me out. I've said this before. You don't want a team of yes men. You don't want people that just pump up your head. But what you do want is people that have done the work in order for them to live a balanced life and be able to show you a little bit of both so that you can have something to rest and reside on. So when you get low, you're not drained. A lot of times in the relationships that I had that were emotionally and spiritually draining, they left me without enough to be productive in the rest of my life. So I was stagnant. I found myself only focused on the negatives, focused on the arguments I was going to have, focused on the drama that was going to come about. And it didn't do anything to move or propel my life forward. So I had to rid myself of those things. And to be real, y'all, by prolonging those relationships, I damaged myself. But I thank God that I had the wherewithal to move on and fix those situations. And I've seen exponential growth through all those changes, and y'all have seen my life. From the love that I share with my husband to my finances being the best that they've ever been. Heck, I even got my student loans forgiven. But you best believe none of that was happening when I was hanging around with negative Nancy and petty Pat. I'm a little petty too, but you know. All you need is a few positive people around. You don't need a whole team of positive people. Just a few that can speak life into you, help you understand your situations, and also help you work through the lows. Sometimes you just need a good person to bounce things off of and to not feel alone. And instead of being around people that will only reflect what's negative in your life and make you feel less than, find the few that make you feel better. I had to stop not making provisions and plans for my money. You see, a lot of us make the mistake of getting out in the world and making mistakes with money, especially if we haven't been taught. And even though my mother taught me, I still made some mistakes, but there were some key things I did to clean up my finances. Number one, I learned to make an emergency fund. What I had to learn first was what I needed to save over the weeks in order to make a difference at the end of the year. In my early 20s, I started saving like $25 a week, okay? Over the year, that's giving you like $1,300 for the year. You can put that in a high yield savings account, make a little money off of it. Also, you got a little cushion should something happen. The tire blow out, something happen in the house. You can make it easier on yourself because you have a little money to pay for it instead of having to rob Peter to pay Paul. I also started paying all the right debts first. I learned about high interest, right? Student loans and car loans have the highest interest. A lot higher interest than your mortgage, so you want to throw more money at what has higher interest. I also learned that I wanted to pay off credit cards with the quickness and not let them compound because they carry high interest rates too. Further, they can help you build your credit score, but you don't want to max them out. So I wanted to keep the balances low under a certain usage amount and also make sure I understood how that was affecting my credit. I also checked in with my employer when I finally got my career job and found out how they were matching my 401k and other accounts, and I tried to maximize on that. I keep credit monitoring alerts on deck because sis, you don't want to find out the bad way that somebody to mess with your credit and now you got to dig that out of a hole. I also invested in life insurance, okay, because we are mortal. And I watched that lifestyle creep. Yes, lifestyle creep is where you start making more, so you start spending more. But you don't want to be in a hole like that. Just because you're making more doesn't mean you have to spend exponentially more. You want to save more. Do as much as you can to keep some things in your pocket. Make your money make some money. All in all, you got to learn what's best for your money. What's best for mine ain't going to be what's best for yours. But somewhere in between will give you the happy medium. I had to curve back from multitasking. Yep, I said it. Sometimes I believe we just want the bragging rights. And yes, sometimes it calls for multitasking, but not for a long period of time. Even if you have a lot to do, you still can't be efficient at all of it by doing it all at once. And it might seem cute to talk on the phone with your boss, text with your mama, send an email, prop your feet up, take a nap all at the same time, but I can guarantee you none of it will get done well. I had to learn quickly that sometimes I have to make a multi-to-do list every day, and I just take down things as they come to my mind instead of trying to handle them all at once and return to them. When I put things in a bucket and I do them over time, I get them done more efficiently and effectively. That could be cooking a quick meal or making sure that I meal prep a few things at one time instead of spending a whole time getting it done while trying to do other things. Or there might be trying to clean one room at a time or getting one email sent while I figure out the next few. Those types of things really do help me, and I'm more efficient when I get to that thing on the list. I can focus on it and get it over with. Y'all, it's going to help you a lot more with your productivity and with the way you feel about yourself, because the more you mark off that list, the better you'll feel about yourself, the more your self-esteem and self-confidence shoot through the roof, and you'll have it together. So I hope today's video has been beneficial for y'all and y'all found out about all the things that I had to stop doing in order to transform my life completely. I also want to thank Fiverr for sponsoring today's video, and don't forget to go to fvrr.co/Dr. Nina and use my code Dr. Nina on their site to get 10% off of what you need, what your services are. I really enjoyed today. Make sure that you comment, share this video with someone who can use it, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Beautiful brown baby doll. Peace.
When the chips are down, you can get up again. That's right, when nothing's working out, we know you can use a friend. Now that's life. When the chips are down, you can get up again. That's right.